Awesome. I am Jim Kellner, and today I'm joined by Sailesh Jiwan. Hi, Sailesh.
Hey, how you doing?
For those of you that are listening, if you're normally listen to Exploring Awesome, you know that we explore tips, tricks, and strategies to live a more awesome life. This month in my Facebook group, we're doing a challenge for meditation for a variety of reasons, which we're going to talk about in just a bit. And so, if you want to join that group, I'll drop the link down. It's basically it's a long name. I got to shorten the name. It's Tips, Tricks, and Strategies for Healthy Living, the Mental Game. So go to Facebook, join the group, and when you complete the challenge, you get a free gift. Anyway, so we're doing meditation, and this is sort of a special episode. We're doing a series of 4 special episodes concentrating just on meditation for that challenge, and that's why I wanted to bring in Sailesh. Sailesh, would you just tell the people a little bit about you before we go any further?
Oh, okay. Let's see here. Professionally, I've been a hypnotist for 26 years on stage. Been through 19 countries performing, over 5,000 shows. Majority of it now is in the university college market in North America. Actually, majority now is just dealing with cancellations because of COVID.
Right.
I was born a Hindu. Grew up practicing Hinduism. Sort of started questioning all sorts of and different kinds of religion, and found myself more attracted to Buddhism. And now it's just more about spirituality and being a good mindset, good frame of mind, and just being a good human being is the most important thing for me.
That's awesome.
Quick little rundown of who I am.
Awesome. Kind of reminds me of my astronomy teacher in college said most of us get our religion just like we get our clothes off the rack, just whatever's handy.
Yeah, very true. And majority of religions are based on scripture and belief because you're told so. Whereas there's others around there that you actually have to experience it in order to become a believer, and that's what I believe in more.
Absolutely. I always find it funny how people, in fact, there's tons of memes about it, but that you just happen to be born into the right religion, just the only legitimate one. It's funny how that happens. But, it's kind of interesting. If you're listening, you'll notice that my last guest was Dr. Anna Margolina. And now that I think about it, and she's a hypnotist, I think everybody for the meditation series is actually a hypnotist. And, that wasn't intentional. That's just the people that I know that I wanted to bring to the table for this. And I don't know. Do you think that maybe hypnotists are maybe a little more in touch with that kind of stuff, meditation, etc.?
Absolutely, because if you really look at the way the brainwave patterns go, meditation, self-hypnosis, mindfulness, it's all pretty much the exact same brainwave pattern. Doing mantras and chants will get you into that same state. So it definitely correlates. It's one of the same. It's just a different name for it. You even look at athletes, and they call it sports motivation, but it's also putting yourself into that kind of meditative state and being focused.
Absolutely, I agree completely. And hey, if you're out there listening now, this is we're doing it live at about 12 p.m. Pacific on October 7th. Who even knows what date it is anymore? October 7th. If you're listening now, you can go ahead and send us. You can comment, and we'll answer your questions. I think I'm using a brand new format, so I hope it's working out well for everyone. And we'll find out afterwards, I guess. Yeah. So, Sailesh, you made a good point about the brain waves. Can you talk a little bit more about that, the brain waves with meditation and hypnosis?
Yes, I mean, we go through different brainwave patterns, and I mean, we go into a daydream state daily as well. But if you can sort of put yourself into that state of mind, I don't want to say forcefully, but I
intentionally.
Guess, intentionally. There we go. Intentionally. There's the word I was looking for. If you put yourself there intentionally and are able to stay there and control it, your brainwave patterns definitely change to a relaxed state where you're more hyper focused into your subconscious, where you're not dealing with your subconscious anymore. It's the same state of mind that you go into when you sort of driving and you um, sort of phase out for a few minutes and not realize how you got to your destination, missing the last 2-3 minutes of thought. And again, the deeper states are what monks call, years and years of practice and meditation. But, science has proven that you can get into that state being very, very new at it and into that depth as well. It all depends on you and how quickly you can fall into it and how much you practice into it to be able to get to that state as well. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, putting yourself in that brainwave pattern, you can definitely change your thought pattern, the way you deal with things. Your focus and clarity are the most important things that you realize that you have control of.
That's a really great point. I'm glad that we're talking about this. One thing that you and I were just talking about, and if you listen to the last episode, I think we talked about it a little bit too. But I think most people that meditate also find that everything else sort of seems to fall into place. You found that to be true too?
Oh, absolutely. When I do meditate, and especially traveling, being on the road, dealing with clients and customers, and again family and being away from family. When I meditate, I have more clarity. I know what I want to do. I can visualize the things that needs to be done. I find myself much calmer with everything. Realize that the things I have control over and the things that I need to let slide by, or just to be strong enough to go, I have no control of this. I know what the outcome is going to be, but I'm going to be strong enough to handle the outcome instead of stressing out and pulling out all my hair and dealing with that. So no, absolutely. The clarity of you start focusing within, everything around you gets better. And it's not just about mindset, but it starts with mindset. If you start with your mindset and then you worry about, let's say, the physical aspect of it by eating right, eating healthy, exercising, all that sort of falls in place, but it all begins with your own mind.
Yeah. It is, like we were talking about earlier too, is, when you focus on yourself first, even though, and I know I work with clients all the time, they're like, well, I can't put myself first because I've got to do all these things for all these people. I'm like, I get that. But, they have that famous saying, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? So, taking even just a few minutes to focus on you is actually going to help you serve the world better as well. So it's not just being selfish, but so if that helps you to spin that, folks.
Oh no, absolutely. And my whole belief is, if you converse with yourself, 'cause we all talk to ourselves, we all have our conversation, and at times it's negative. But if you treat yourself like you would your own best friend, because if you really think about it, for our best friends, we're the first ones to cheer them on, root for them, pick them up when they fail, tell them that they can do it, that
Exactly.
they got this, they're amazing, they're absolutely incredible, they're beautiful people, I love you. But we forget to do that ourselves and to ourselves. So if you just change the conversation you have in your own mind, that the second that something negative,
Yeah, and
pop in something positive. Oh, you're still there? We froze up somewhere.
oh, there we go. You're back. So if you just go back, you said something about if you go back to your own mind.
Yeah, if you go back to your own mind and treat yourself like you would your own best friend and have a positive conversation, because everybody says, oh, I got a million things in my mind, but you only have one thought at that exact moment. So if it's a negative thought, if you catch yourself and realize that it's a negative thought and think about something positive or something encouraging, it just changes everything. It's just like, for those of us that, before the COVID, you go out to a club and there's days that you would dress up and you'd feel absolutely amazing and you're full of energy, full of life, the life of the party. Yet you could go back the next week and wear the exact same clothes and look exactly the same, but you didn't feel the same. You didn't have that same energy. And it wasn't because of what you were wearing. It was because of where your thoughts were at that time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I do want to just make a note. If you're watching out there, I want to say thank you to Marina for pointing out that I wasn't on the screen. My first time playing with this particular platform, so I don't even know if I'm on the screen now or not. Whatever's going on, I'll have to watch later. And my sister asked if I'm growing a mustache, just temporarily. Mai says I have to shave it off Thursday because I'm getting married on Saturday.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. It's funny when you talk about like cheering on your best friend. I think, if you have a friend in your life that talks to you the way that you talk to yourself, you probably should cut them out of your life.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. If your best friend does not make you feel better, they are not your best friend. If they're bringing you down to make themselves look better, they're selfish, and you don't need that in your life.
And it's tough too. I remember I had a friend from, really going all the way back to middle school, and it was just everything was just, he was so negative. And I realized actually I was in that space too for a long time. But when I grew out of that space, it was hard to tolerate that from somebody else. And we chat on, we text each other on our birthdays, but that's about it. We don't really communicate anymore.
Well, one of the best ways to look at, your best friend is, does your best friend treat you the way you would want the person you love the most treated? Yeah, absolutely. And put it like towards your mother or father, to your brothers, sisters, to your loved one, to your fiance. Right. If they would treat them like crap, then you don't want them or need them in your life. Yeah, they're toxic. Yeah,
and I see this all the time. People will post on social media, this one's for my haters. Why are your haters even seeing your posts? Just cut them out, unfriend them, get rid of them. You don't need them.
Yeah, that unfriend button is so convenient, and I wish more and more people would use that.
Absolutely. So, Sailesh, as we're talking about meditation, we do. I'm sure you've heard this. If you talk about meditation at all, you'll get a whole group of people that go, "I can't sit still for 20 minutes and empty my thoughts." What do you say to them?
Just shut up and focus.
And sleep.
Yeah. No, the clarity is, and just like when we fall asleep, sometimes this is a hard time for us to fall asleep, but we eventually do fall asleep because that's when our mind just goes clear and everything else. If you have a million things in your mind, of course, it's hard to focus on one thing. But there's so many different ways that you can help that. Some people visualize and continually visualize this white piece of paper that keeps falling slowly. Other people use music or certain sounds like the ocean that just brings a calm to them, that just brings clarity. And of course it takes practice. It takes practice to clear your mind and to stop thinking about, oh, I got to do this later on today, or I got this bill to pay, or I have to do this for my spouse. But once you take that focus to yourself and give yourself that focus and use things like soothing music or hypnotic music or meditative music, whatever it may be, and everybody has a different answer to that, but find the answer that's great for you. Just like you could go and listen to different meditations through Spotify or Pandora or downloads, find the voice that works for you, because I don't know about you, Jim, but I've heard some, and some are really soothing, and I can listen to this person forever, and it puts me in a nice, relaxed state of mind. And other times I'll listen to somebody, and it's like, that's like chalkboards, nails on a chalkboard, and how's that supposed to relax me? Right. So everybody's got to find their own comfort zone, and everybody's got to find what soothes them and relaxes them. So the first thing you have to do and say to yourself is, instead of saying, I can't relax, I can't focus, first of all, you're putting negative thoughts in your mind. Why don't you put a positive thought in your mind by saying, it's difficult for me to relax, but I know I'll be able to do it. Good. And so you got to get rid of the negative thoughts, get rid of the negative actions that are in your mind. Instead of saying, for anyone, let's say, and I do this for my son and for students that I help motivate, the second you say, I suck at math, or I always fail at math, you're always going to fail at math. Exactly. But the second you turn around and say, math's difficult, but I'm stronger than math, I'll pick it up, I'm smart enough, it changes everything. Just like, we deal with hypnosis. The second somebody says, you can't hypnotize me, well, you know what, you're right. I'm not going to be able to. Yeah. But if you turn around and say, I really don't believe in it, but I'm willing to open my mind to it and see what happens, there's a huge difference right there. Yeah.
That is so funny when people tell me I don't believe in hypnosis. I'm like, that's great. Close your eyes. Let's, you don't have to believe, guys. It's not a religion. It's science based. So there's no belief necessary. Sailesh, it's funny because earlier we had talked about you'd mentioned monks and stuff, and I think that's what people have this idea of, is that they're sitting there and they're clearing their mind. But like you said, I mean, that sometimes that's easier. I love the metaphor you used about sleep. Sometimes it's easy to go to sleep, sometimes it's tough, and at first it can be very challenging. And we're going to have some. I think our next guest, Guzalia Davis, is going to talk about using more active thought process in it, and we got Maria Bird going to talk about like active meditation. So you can actually go. She does hiking meditations. So there's all these different types of meditation. It's not just sitting in lotus position and saying onomatopoeia or whatever you want to say. There's a lot of different kinds. You talked earlier when we were talking. You talked about your beads. Can you show your beads?
Yes. So I wear chakra beads on one hand, but these ones are my 108 beads.
Tell us about that.
Which one?
That one, the ones you're holding, the meditation beads, or
yeah. So
108.
In Buddhism and Hinduism, they say that by chanting a mantra 108 times, and so there's 108 beads. So every time I say a mantra, I flip the bead, say the same mantra, flip the bead, say the same mantra, flip the bead, and I'll do that for 108 times, and usually it takes me about a good 15-20 minutes, but it brings an absolute calm and clarity into my mind and focus. And now the mantra I say is actually a Hindu mantra in Sanskrit, and it's something that my father, whenever he was home and I was going to bed, he would place his hand on my head and say that mantra a few times and help me fall asleep. So I that stuck with me to a point where I've had that entire mantra tattooed onto my shoulder. And for me, that's what works for me.
Do you feel comfortable sharing that mantra?
Oh, absolutely. It's right here. It's called the Gayatri month.
Uh-huh.
And then so the Om's right on top.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the wording in Sanskrit.
Hmm.
And just by saying that basically gives me clarity. When I first started doing shows and I was nervous, I'd just close my eyes and say it 3 or 7 times, and I'd find a whole calm that comes over me, and I'd find that showman would come out on stage, seconds after of feeling nervous. And it used to take me longer to do it, and now, I can just close my eyes and take 3 deep breaths and say it 3 times, and I'm good to go. And I'll be on stage, and my personality totally complete changes. It goes from, who I am, that the people that know me, to the stage performer, and that showman. That's awesome.
It's funny you mentioned. I love that you mentioned the showman and the person that other people know, because I run into people if they've only met me on stage and stuff, and then they meet me in person, they're like, you're nothing like the person on stage. And I said, yeah, that's my performer self. That's just a bigger version of me. It's not a fake version, but it's definitely a bigger version. And they say like, well, you must be a huge extrovert. I'm like, no, I'm an introvert. I just keep to myself most of the time. I'm not trying to make everybody in the room laugh all the time. I'm not that guy, unless I'm getting paid.
And I'm exactly the same way. Where, the performer, and it's still, you're right, it's still a part of me, and the performer is the part of you. But it's so different than when you deal with people one-on-one, and my energy is different. The way I deal with people is different, and I'm an introvert as well.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, this guy on stage, I mean, he's just very calm. We gotta do something different. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
One thing I want to mention too, if you're one of those folks out there, because really what I'm trying to do in these talks is kind of maybe demystify meditation, and to get people that maybe think they can't meditate, or maybe they're not sure why. One of the things that I have found really helpful is when you're starting meditation. Well, what I always tell people is it's hard to stop a behavior. It's much easier to redirect it. Same with thoughts. So if you're sitting down, and so what I'm trying to say is that mantra meditation may be the best one for you to start with, because if you've got all these thoughts, I've got to pay this bill, I've got to do this for my wife, I've got to, do this and that. If you just sit there and you do a mantra, like sometimes if I'm really just blah, I'll just repeat the word like love or peace or something like that over and over again, over and over again. You can do a whole full sentence or something, and can you tell us what your mantra means in English? Is there a translation, or is it too private?
You know what? I've never tried to translate it.
Oh.
To me, that was it was just I guess I fell short on that to find out exactly the meaning of it. But from what my dad told me, it was like a protective mantra to keep me safe and keep me healthy and keep me wise and make the right decisions.
Interesting.
It was kind of like an energy force that you sort of chanted and would put around you to keep all sorts of evil away from you, and that's why he did it for me every night. If he wasn't working the night shift or the graveyard shift, and I was going to bed, he'd just place his hand on my forehead and say that to me. So it just stuck with me my entire life.
That's
to a
awesome.
point I do the exact same thing for my son.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So the exact meaning, I'm sorry, I don't know. And now you got me so curious that I'm going to find out exactly what it is. And you'll get a message from me going, this is what it is. But you were also talking about finding the right places to meditate. And there's different places and different things. I mean, for some people, taking a bath and even lighting candles or playing some music is a great place. I mean, for me, I do a lot of thinking in the shower or relaxation in the shower. Or driving long trips and for those of you that have to travel for work and different things like that, there's so many different aspects you can do. You can do something positive for yourself, visualize, focus on the positive things that you want to achieve in life and what you're grateful for, or you can just play some music, or you can turn on the news and acknowledge what's going on in the world, but usually that right there ends up depressing you. So, change it up a little bit as well. And, if you want to be, have the knowledge of what's going around and what's happening, right at the end of it, do something good for yourself. Play the music that you love to listen to. Focus on yourself. Don't let it bring you down. Don't let what other people are doing in the world change your think patterns.
Yeah.
Control what you have control of.
That reminds me of something that Dan McMillan, the peaceful warrior, Dan McMillan. Remember, he said something like, people ask him if he meditates every day. He says, yes, I meditate every single day. He goes, but I'm not always sitting in lotus position. He goes, sometimes I take a few breaths, 10 breaths at a stoplight, or waiting in the grocery store line or something like this. It's just taking those few moments just for yourself to focus, inward, or however you want to do it. There are just so many different kinds of meditation that you can try. And so I highly encourage you, just, Google, different types of meditation. There is something for everyone. The other part is, Sailesh talked about his Hinduism and his Buddhism. It can be a very secular experience too. You don't have to have religion involved in your meditation, even if it's a mantra, because you could, I guess you could even say something like wealth as your, I'm constantly attaining more wealth or something as your mantra. I don't know. But yeah, so don't let that kind of stuff scare you.
No, I mean, religion, it should be more in that spirituality other than religion. Visualize pictures and see the things that you want, write them down, create a full circle. I mean, if wealth's what you really want to focus on for that moment, then that's fine. But if you can create a circle of words that you want to encompass, such as wealth, health, kindness, loving, strength, and create that full circle and use that full circle as a mantra, that becomes your own mantra. That becomes your own meditation.
That's awesome. Yeah, good idea. One thing I would like to mention too, like one of the things that drives me crazy. In fact, I used to have this person that would share these these posts from this group on Facebook. It's called something like I am manifesting $1 million. And I always wanted to stop and say, what are you doing to manifest that $1 million? What kind of service are you providing that's going to do that? Because so what I would say, if you're really focused on wealth, why don't you turn that around and say, your mantra could be, I am serving 1 million people in a loving and thoughtful way, and let the wealth come with that. Because that's really if you can help enough, I forgot his name now, but if you can help enough other people get what they want, then you're going to get what you want in life.
I absolutely believe that. I believe in karma. I believe in, what the energy you put out, you will get back. It might not be exactly at that moment, but it will come to you when you least expect it and most need it.
And it's so weird. I mean, it is the craziest thing. But I find that the more that I give, the more, because in fact, I've run into other hypnotists that are, well, I don't want to share my techniques, or I don't want to share this stuff out there, these thoughts, because somebody's going to steal it. They're not going to pay me for it. And I'm not saying you give everything away for free, but I do find that the more I share, the more I just give it away, the more it comes back to me. It really does. No,
absolutely. I mean, I don't, at first it used to bother me when I'd go do a show and somebody would say, oh, you do so-and-so show, and I'm like, excuse me? That's good. And then I hadn't even heard of the person. I'd look them up and I'd go, they've only been around for 2 years. and so it used to anger me at first, and then after a while, I just took it as a compliment, especially with YouTube and everything else that's going around. What ended up happening was my closest and dearest friends would never ever use my skits, and I had complete strangers that would. And,
of course, yeah.
And it made me realize that if one of my skits is so funny that it betters someone's show, go ahead and use it. I don't care. And especially with my friends, because they will acknowledge on stage that it's my skit if they're doing a show, or they will do a show at a venue, and they know if I've been there, they won't even touch that skit.
Sure.
And to me, that's out of respect. So to me, I was like, yeah, if you want to take my stuff, go ahead and take it. I don't care. It just makes me want to create new and different things just to improve myself.
That's something similar to what Sarah Silverman said when they asked her, what do you do when somebody steals one of your jokes? She says, I write a new one. Mm-hmm. So, but it is frustrating. I remember one guy one time, he's kind of a weird dude, stage hypnotist. It was just sort of getting started. He said, do a lot of people do your damn I'm pretty skit? Because I have a skit where I mix it. Everybody does the thing where when I say this, you'll stand up and shout whatever. I mean, lots of people do that thing. Yeah. Mine is, I usually do it to a guy and he stands up and shouts, damn, I'm pretty. It's hilarious. People love it. And I'm like, and he said, so do a lot of people, have you seen a lot of people doing your thing or something like this? And I was like, well, you're welcome to use whatever you want, but the damn I'm pretty part is sort of mine. And then I was like, you know what? If this guy needs to take it, whatever. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I mean, I've been shocked a couple times. I did a show, and I don't know if you know Scott Parks.
No, I don't know.
But he was with me. He's a person that wanted to learn hypnosis. Did a few shows and everything else. But we became really, really good friends. And we would hang out every time I was in his area, and he'd always come to one of my shows, and he was at one of my shows. And this gentleman comes up and introduces himself after my show as a hypnotist. And, it's like, nice to meet you, and I hope you enjoyed the show, small chit chat. And he listed off like 2-3 things I did, and he goes, they're different. And I said, well, thank you. Yeah, I came up with them. He goes, great, I'm going to steal those. And he walked away. And both Scott and I were looking at each other, jaws dropped, like, wow. But I he was going to steal it.
Well, I don't. That's like. I mean, you really, and this is the thing too. Like, on just a very small level, like I make memes. That's what I do. Okay, I'm a meme artist. But
I absolutely love your memes. Like,
thank you.
Like there were times where I'm like, I need to steal that. I'm going to steal that. I just haven't yet. But
as long as it's got my branding on it, I don't care. Or if you share it, share it. But I'll have people, or even not a meme, like something where I'll just I just did a post the other day, and people will post it, I'm stealing this. And I go look at their page, and they literally have just stolen it. They've copied it and then posted it. I'm like, that's sort of my intellectual property there. I mean, have the decency to share it or say, hey, this is from Jim Kellner or something. But and that's just a little level. But really, when we, people all the time will they'll pass around downloads of MP3s and things like this. I get it. If you're broke and you can't afford it, but if you can afford to pay, it really helps us as creators, because if we don't make our money, if you're stealing all of Sailesh's jokes and he can't come up with new ones, pretty soon he's got to go get a job somewhere else, and he can't do the work where he's serving the most people. Is basically it's a long roundabout way of saying don't steal shit. Oh shoot, I never cuss. Stuff. Don't.
Yeah, don't take other people's stuff.
But yeah, it is no different than going and stealing, the Mona Lisa or something like that. This is your. I'm still blown away. They would. At least they have the honesty. I guess they just really don't understand that you just shouldn't steal. They don't get that.
And I see that in the magician's circle as well, and the mentalist circle. Like I deal with a lot of college university shows, and you see some of that where certain ideas can always be altered and made into your own. But if you steal somebody's word for word, action reaction per reaction, it's pretty dirty.
Yeah, I've seen some. In fact, I saw somebody had posted like a video, and they had it back, side by side, and it was the exact wording from Mark Savard. The exact wording. Somebody had taken Mark Savard. They must have recorded it, and you know what? I gotta be honest with you. I would find it much easier just to come up with my own jokes rather than try to memorize this long somebody else's show. Good Lord.
Yeah, I definitely seen that. Mark and I go way back. We started off doing shows in Canada, and he's absolutely amazing. We were on the same circuit, and he's very innovative, and he had to be. We all had to be, especially up in Canada, because our market was so much smaller that we'd have to come up with new stuff all the time because it was the same people coming to see the shows. And especially when, for Mark and I, we would trade off this venue with a couple other hypnotists, but they were hypno junkies. They would be there. The show ran every Sunday, 52 Sundays in a row.
Wow. And
you would come back there, probably, do a tour, and especially because he lived in the area, he'd probably do 4-week-long tours. So that's 16 shows with the same people usually showing up, that you had to be really innovative and inventive and create new skits all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think I know the video that you're talking about with Mark, and I felt bad for him, especially because the other person was touting himself as being greatest of all time.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I remember, and on the flip side of that, I remember running into a stage hypnotist who said that he wrote his show 20 years ago, and now he has to come up with new stuff because people keep stealing it. I'm like, you probably should change some stuff along the way.
Nobody knows who Madonna is anymore. Or the YMCA.
It reminds me of just like a couple of years ago, I saw somebody doing an impression of Jack Nicholson from A Few Good Men at a comedy show, and I'm like, how many of these people here remember that? It's topical. But it's interesting too, because comedians are much more on top of things as far as stealing jokes. It's at least frowned upon. Of course, we do still have Carlos Mencia that'll steal everybody's jokes and things like that. But it's just not as much with hypnotists. I guess it just doesn't seem to matter, because we get a lot of people just doing the same stuff.
Yeah, and it's just, you have to adapt, but yeah, taking somebody's concept and idea and reworking it for yourself. There's certain things that we've always done that everybody kind of does, but if you put a twist to it, like
right.
pregnancy test or counting your finger, missing a certain number.
Yeah.
And, you can take it verbatim, or you can put a twist on it and make it your own.
Probably going to be funnier too, because it's your personality and it's your spin on it. So
Absolutely.
But anyway, somehow for everybody that was watching about meditation, sorry, for those of you that are interested in hypnosis, you're welcome. I am posting this to one of my hypnosis groups, so that'll be helpful for them. I'll let them know to watch. But so we're going to wrap it up now. Any final thoughts on meditation?
Final thoughts. Basically, plan it out like you would any other thing that's important in your life or habitual in your life. Like brushing your teeth, taking a shower, eating. If you can put that into your day, it makes life so much easier, and it's not a concentrated effort. Certain people will do different things. Perfect example is, and some people said, oh, it's just the technique he uses to get the creative juices flowing. But to me, it was putting himself into a meditative state. Was Steve Martin, for those of you old enough to remember or know who he is, Steve Martin would in the bathroom mirror every morning when he'd wake up, he would look in the mirror and laugh at himself for 10 minutes straight and just laugh.
Wow.
He wouldn't think about anything, just laugh. And he said that got his creative juices flowing, and he could be funny all day long because he started off the day just laughing. So, start off your day right, or whenever, at any point that you can take some time out for yourself. But make an effort of taking time out. And it can be in any place, any room, any situation. Even pulling over on the side of the road in the car and just turning everything off and closing your eyes for a couple minutes and just breathing. Or have your space. Like for me, if you look behind me, you'll notice some statues and stuff and everything else. I mean, this is my sort of go-to, my space that I'll come to, and I close the door, and as soon as the door's closed, my family knows not to disturb anybody that comes in here, because they're spending time focusing on themselves and re-energizing their batteries.
Yeah, that's such good idea. If you work it into your schedule, it's going to be a lot easier than if you're rushing to go to meditate. Which, if you're rushing to go do meditation, you're going about it all wrong, I think.
Yeah, and and it's not hard. Like, don't make it hard for yourself. If it's something you can't do, if you can't sit cross-legged, lay down.
Absolutely.
Sit in a chair.
Yeah.
Cheat like me. I have my Lotus Chair.
You want to show your Lotus Chair?
Yeah. So you can pick one of these up. Let's see if I can tilt it down. It actually almost looks like a doggy chair, but it's a Lotus Chair where you can sit down, cross your legs, and it's a lot more comfy than sitting on the ground. And so, just give you a quick tour. This is my sort of prayer meditation area with all Hindu and Buddhist stuff and rocks and crystals and energy. And then I have a little fireplace there. And that's the tour of the room.
Awesome.
But that's our guest room, and that's also, for anyone that just needs their own time and space and create their own energy, just come here and close the door and nobody will disturb you. So have that time and space for yourself.
And again, I just want to, if you won't do it for yourself, because I really think that we should just if you call it selfish, whatever, but take that time for yourself, just because it will help you. I mean, if you look at famous people throughout history and successful people today, if you read about them, nearly all of them will mention meditation or something akin to meditation. It's really helpful in that way. But also do it for your family. Like, I was working with a client who had some anger issues, and she was having trouble taking time to listen to hypnosis. I said, because she had to take care of some other stuff. And I said, look, the way you're reacting to them, would you rather just let them handle things on their own for 20 minutes while you go do this? And then you can be a better mom to the kids. And sometimes it's hard. The self-care is really a hard sell. Yeah.
Oh, one other thing that I would love to share.
Yeah.
And this is to deal with stress and self-care, and especially stress for an individual. It's a technique that, I kind of learned off readings of the Dalai Lama, was on how to deal with stress. So you simply ask yourself these questions, and in this order. To know how severe the stress is, the first question you ask yourself is, what's really bothering me? Will it bother me tomorrow? And if the answer is yes, will it bother me next week? If the answer is yes, next month, yes, next year, yes. I mean, the longer it will bother you, at least you set a timeline on it, on your stress. Then you ask yourself, do I have the power to change the outcome of what's stressing me out to my benefit? And if the answer is yes, just visualize what you need to do to change that outcome to make it to your benefit. The things you need to do, and just visualize in your mind. And once you do so, you know exactly what you need to do. Now, if you don't have the power to change it, if the outcome is inevitable and there's nothing you can do to change it, then visualize, picture, see yourself being strong enough to handle the outcome, because you know what's coming to you. You know what's going to happen. And just picture yourself being strong enough to handle the outcome so you can move on and beyond and past that. And then once you do those things, you're going to realize that stress is gone, because you know what's going to happen, or you know what you have to do to change the outcome to your benefit. That there's no longer a need to feel that stress. And especially when you put a timeline on it as well, because it could be something as simple as an exam or a meeting that you have next week that just really bother you. But just picture yourself making the changes to make sure the outcome is to your benefit.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that idea too. Is first visualize what's going to happen. Visualize how you can fix it if it's something you think you can fix. Love that.
Yeah.
So
And then picture yourself doing it, because if you can do it and you can change it, then now you have control. But even if you don't have control of the outcome, visualize yourself being strong enough to handle the outcome. Such as, crazy things and things that you don't have control of. Let's say a family becoming sick, or cancer to a loved one. That kind of stuff we don't have control over, but being strong enough to be strong for them and being able to handle the outcome. Or, for younger people, they're watching their parents, getting a divorce and everything else. Certain things you don't have control of, and other things you do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. God, I feel like we could just talk all day. We're going to wrap it up, though. Thanks so much for joining me today, Sailesh.
Oh, I had a blast, and I'm looking forward just once this COVID ends and everything else, and I'm back up in the Seattle area, coming by and sharing a cup of coffee and probably a few hours of good talk, and
Absolutely.
continuing this on.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for watching today. If you need a little extra help with the meditation, head over to my YouTube channel. I have started putting up some guided meditations because we're doing this challenge. So check those out. The guided stuff is sometimes easier for people to get started with. So give that a try. Once again, thanks, Sailesh.
Thank you, and congratulations on your wedding. May it be an absolutely amazing, wonderful day for you and your wife to be. And I'm looking forward to meeting her as well.
Thanks so much, Sailesh. Take care, everybody. Be well. Be awesome.